A QR code can lose almost a third of its surface to coffee stains, scratches, or a tear through the middle, and your phone will still read it, because there's extra math built into the code that lets the scanner rebuild the missing pieces from what's left. The math is called Reed-Solomon error correction. We're going to start from the bytes, build up to the geometry, and end on the setting that decides whether your code works out there in the real world. Imagine somebody spills coffee on a takeout menu with a QR code in the corner, the paper tears, and a chunk of the code is now soaked or missing. Any other format would be dead at this point because if you lose a byte, you lose whatever that byte was storing and there's no way to guess it back. QR codes get around this by never storing the data by itself. Every QR code is two things glued together: your original message and a bundle of extra bytes called parity bytes, whose only job is to protect the original. If your message is 200 bytes long and you add 100 parity bytes on top, then any 50 of those 300 bytes can be wiped out and Reed Solomon can still rebuild the original 200. Reed-Solomon treats your data as the coefficients of a polynomial instead of a plain list of bytes. The encoder takes your message, builds a polynomial from it, and then computes the value of that polynomial at a bunch of extra points. Those extra values become the parity bytes that get printed alongside the data. When the scanner reads a damaged code, it gets back a corrupted version of those same points, but because a polynomial of a given degree is locked in once you know enough of its values, the decoder can figure out which points are wrong and which are right. It does this with algebra, and it doesn't need to know which squares got damaged. All of this math has to happen on bytes, which only hold values from 0 to 255. So QR codes do their math inside a structure called a Galois field, which lets computers add and multiply bytes without the result spilling outside that range. The math stays exact even though we're working with 8-bit numbers. The QR standard doesn't pick one error correction strength and force it on everyone, because the more parity you add, the less room you have for actual data, and that's the trade off every time you generate a code. There are four levels to pick from, named L, M, Q, and H. Level L gives you about 7% recovery, so the modules can be smaller and you can pack way more data into the same square. Level M bumps recovery up to about 15%, and that's the default for most general purpose codes. Level Q steps it up to 25%, which is what you use for product packaging or anything printed that might get scuffed or wrinkled. Level H gives you about 30% recovery, but the code gets visibly denser because so much of its surface is parity bytes instead of payload. For a code that sits in a clean PDF and gets scanned indoors, Level L works and saves you space. But for a code on a coffee cup or a bus stop poster, you want Level H. This is where the logo in the middle of a QR code comes from. The designer generated the code at level H because they knew the logo was going to cover around 15 to 20% of the modules, and the 30% recovery budget can take that hit. To the scanner, there's no logo there at all, just a part of the code that looks broken, and Reed Solomon rebuilds the missing data from the surviving parity around the edges. The logo is just damage to the code, and the math fixes it the same way it fixes a coffee stain. There's still a problem though, because if your coffee stain covers one solid patch of the code, you might wipe out a whole block of related bytes all at once, and even a strong code can only repair so many lost bytes per block before it runs out of parity. A single 10 mm coffee blob in the wrong spot could take out half your message in one shot. The standard solves this with a technique called interleaving, which means the encoder scrambles where each byte gets printed. If your message is the word hello, the H doesn't sit next to the E, and the E doesn't sit next to the L. The letters get scattered to opposite corners of the grid, so a single blob of damage hits a little bit of every block instead of wiping out one block completely. Lots of small holes spread across many blocks are easy to repair, because each block only loses a little, but one big hole inside a single block would kill the code, and interleaving makes sure that almost never happens. If the code ends up with one huge black square or one huge white blob in the middle, the scanner can't reliably find the edges of individual modules, and the code becomes unreadable even though the data inside it is fine. So before the encoder finishes the image, it runs the entire grid through something called masking, which is an XOR operation that flips certain modules in a fixed pattern. The standard defines 8 different mask patterns, and the encoder tries all 8, scores each one on how balanced the code looks, and then picks the one with the most even mix of black and white. The version your scanner sees is the chosen mask, and a small region of the code tells the scanner which of the 8 masks was used so it can undo the XOR and recover the real data underneath. None of this matters unless the scanner can first find the code in the camera frame and figure out which way is up, no matter how badly you hold the phone or how warped the surface is. Those 3 big square targets in the corners are called finder patterns, and they let the scanner spot the code in the camera frame and lock down which way it's rotated, since 3 corners is enough to pin the orientation without any guessing. The smaller squares scattered through the interior are called alignment patterns, and they handle the case when the surface itself is bent. When you scan a code on a curved bottle, the scanner uses those alignment marks to flatten the warped image back into a clean grid before it starts decoding. The last piece is the quiet zone, the empty white margin around the outside of the code. It's part of the spec even though most people don't realize it, because without that empty buffer, the scanner has no way to tell where the code starts. And shrinking that margin to make the code fit a tighter UI layout is one of the most common ways developers break their own QR codes. So when you scan a damaged QR code on a coffee stained menu, the scanner runs through all of this in a few hundred milliseconds. The finder patterns tell it where the code is, the alignment patterns flatten the warp, the mask gets undone, the bytes get put back in order, and Reed Solomon fills in whatever was missing from the parity. Thanks for watching this one. Leave a comment with what you want me to break down next.